this is Surya Saha, and welcome to the Insurtech Story Podcast, the platform to spread knowledge on insurance innovation, digital disruptions, and entrepreneurship. Our website, insurtechstory.com, and we are available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon Music. Today, we will discuss on the topic the role of AI in connected insurance. And for now, I'm delighted to welcome our guest, Trenholm Palmer, who is the Director of Digital Insurance at Volvo Financial Services in the United States market. He is responsible for the operations and growth of Volvo Financial Services commercial and connected insurance distribution across the heavy truck and construction equipment finance channels. Prior to Volvo, he founded and ran New Light Research, which provided alternative data insights to large professional services firms with a focus on publicly traded financial institutions and reinsurance companies. He also served as an advisory resource to insurtech startups on formation, insurer and specialty intermediary negotiations, go to market strategies, and product distribution. Before this 7+ years of entrepreneurial period, Trenholm spent 13 years across a variety of sales and business development leadership roles within commercial insurance brokerage and management consulting. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Washington and Lee University and a Master of Business Administration degree from ISM Paris. So, Trenholm, a warm welcome to the show.
Surya, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Trenholm, to discuss the topic on AI and connected insurance, uh, I would like to, understand in what ways can AI help insurance companies personalize their offerings to individual customers. What's your thought?
Sure. Well, the perspective that I am coming from and that the company that I work for is coming from, it may be helpful to know that the Volvo group that employs me within Volvo Financial Services, we manufacture trucks and construction equipment and buses and marine equipment. And so our customer segments span a wide global array of both individual users and large fleets. And so when we talk about personalization of insurance offerings, there is a huge spectrum. But AI, no doubt, is already playing a role in helping to digest and make sense of large data sets in ways that we couldn't even fathom a couple of years ago. So when I look at the opportunity for the insurance landscape to make the customer experience better, it has a very real meaning. For us, it's all about safety first. What we always want is for the Volvo name, the Volvo brand, whether it's a truck, a piece of construction equipment, a bus, etc. We always want that to be synonymous with safety. And so when we think about that, we think about how can AI algorithms drive and make sense of data in ways that make driving or operations safer, number one. And number two, how can they do that in such a way that it increases the customer's uptime, what we refer to as uptime. So Surya, in our company, you hear the word uptime constantly, and it means that driver or that operator and that power unit is working and it's up and running. The wheels are turning and it's doing its job. And so that's what we're most interested in. So when we talk about the personalization of offerings, really we look at core offerings first. So if we talk about heavy trucking, Class 8 trucks in the US, for example, the compulsory lines of coverage, right? Physical damage, liability, cargo, non-trucking liability, things like that. We want to make sure that AI can be used in ways to reflect driver behavior, whether that's good driver behavior or whether that's also driver behavior that could use some coaching and can be improved. I think that we're looking at ways that AI can be leveraged to create rewards and incentives core offerings for drivers and operators, so that the best of the best receive the best rates. For example, they receive access to the best offerings, and if their performance as a driver or an operator is, suboptimal for the time being, then how can we use artificial intelligence to drive their score up and to coach them into a better position of the two things that really matter most to our businesses, again, which are uptime and safety. So I think that the one part of the appeal for us is the fact that, using these algorithms provides an objective scoring method, right? And it also helps business owners, fleet managers, and individual operators see their driving behaviors and their operational behaviors in a very clear and objective way. The math is the math, right? And it can either go up or down depending on very clear criteria. So we're excited about the possibilities. We're already starting to see real utility from it, and it's already helping our customers make better business decisions.
Right. You mentioned about understanding drivers' patterns. I believe that's kind of a thing is most beneficial for usage-based insurance, and how connected devices can actually make that happen. So, in your opinion, or rather, would you like to add something on what kind of data can be gathered from connected devices to better understand customers' unique needs and preferences?
Sure. It's so interesting when you look at the vast amount of data that is
Yeah.
coming from, in our world, vehicles, whether it's a truck or a piece of construction equipment. Again, there are varying degrees of connectivity, of course, and there are varying degrees of really what we call signal and noise, right?
Yeah.
What we think might matter to us as a critical data point may not matter to the customer at all. The key from an insurance and a risk underwriting standpoint is to identify those data streams that matter simultaneously in a substantive way to us as the financial services provider and the intermediary and the advisor, and the insurance underwriters and the customer, right? All at the same time. So if you have several hundred or a couple of thousand data streams that are flowing 24/7, 365, how can we simplify this? How can we boil it down to a manageable data set that we can at least reach minimum viable liftoff first, and then build from there and iterate with additional data streams that we discover have real meaning and real value in terms of risk profiling, in terms of pricing, in terms of improving driver behavior and operator behavior, all of those types of things. So this is a roundabout way of answering your question, which is what kind of data can be gathered from these devices to help understand customers' needs and preferences. Well, it's really interesting. Customers' needs and preferences, really, they're very much aligned with ours as the manufacturer and as the financial services provider. So what do they want? They want good performance, and they want good information, and they want a good deal, right? And so if they see, for example, that let's take a really fundamental example of a usage-based insurance program. This could be for a truck, it could be for a car, it doesn't really matter. But let's say it's sort of, rated by the mile, right? So that's a very fundamental piece of information that's useful, right? Maybe that's determined on a reporting basis. Maybe it's determined by GPS, right? There could be geofencing to determine, maximum radius, for example. Has that been exceeded? So, things like speed, things like hard braking, hard cornering, these are all meaningful data points. And then there are more complex perspectives on these, because there is such a thing as a good heartbreaking moment, right? If you slam on the brakes to avoid hitting someone or doing damage to property, well, that's a good thing, and no one was hurt, and no property was damaged. On the other hand, it could indicate that there's something else circumstantially that's gone wrong. So all these types of data streams help, inform the customer, inform us, and enable us to get them what they're looking for. Really, as a customer, right? What I want to do is first and foremost engage as lightly and as little as possible with the insurance program, right? And I want it to be as minimally invasive as it can possibly be, so that I can focus on my job, right? I want to drive. I want to get that product from point A to point B. I want to focus on this construction project, et cetera. It doesn't really matter what it is. But the needs and the preferences, we believe, are best met when the insurance is doing its work for the customer in the background in a way that the customer isn't even aware of it, but they still have that sense of security, that sense of safety, knowing that they are protected in the event of a claim. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of data streams, ultimately more than I think we're tapping into today. And we're always pleasantly surprised. We have to keep an open mind about people coming from outside our industry who have a really unique perspective on the data fields that may have real relevance going forward. Sometimes we're so close to the problem, and we think that we know the issues so well that we have a blind spot to real opportunities on the data side. So it's a great time to be in this business, and it's a great time to be able to harness these data streams in the ways that we're able to now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned a very important point there. That's on the trust factor, what the sense of security that the customer actually looks at. I think that's one of the most important criteria for an insurance company to actually understand how their performance is, or rather any sort of a peer benchmarking that they would like to do. So I think that's a very important point you've highlighted there. Noting on that, how can AI be used to improve customer service in the insurance industry? I mean, we have come across various case studies, various real life applications, but customer experience is something that's one of the big element of success in this industry, right? And how do you think AI can actually help improve that factor?
Sure. Well, the insurance industry is different in many ways, but also similar in many ways to other major industries that have real constant customer service needs and requirements. So when I think about ways that AI can be leveraged to improve customer service in our industry, I look over at other industries in, for example, hospitality, travel, right? These needs are not dissimilar to ones that our customers have. So from just a practical standpoint, we're already starting to see the use of chatbots, which when they are well designed, can be incredibly helpful. We've probably anyone who's listening to this podcast has tapped into a chat function with an airline or a travel situation or a hotel situation, because you don't want to wait on hold on the phone, which is completely understandable. So that has sped up the queue. It's made the customer experience better, I think, in part because you can multitask. You can carry on a chat with a bot from your phone at your desk, right? Or while you're doing something else. So it doesn't need to consume 100% of your attention. And oftentimes it can reach a more optimal outcome much more quickly than we could achieve over the phone. So I think that the customer service, the positive ramifications are already there. We're already starting to see them. I think that, what is the insurance industry really about? Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that the insurance industry is there to pay claims, right? It's become a very attractive sector for a lot of reasons that have to do with innovation, that have to do with technology, and certainly AI. But at the end of the day, an insurance contract is nothing more than a promise to pay a claim, right? If it's a covered claim. So how does AI play into that? Well, I think that you have some incredibly helpful tools that are already being deployed in the field in the event of claims that speed up that process. If you speak to a customer, if you speak to an insurance company, to a claim adjuster, to a repair facility, doesn't matter. The one thing that all of those stakeholders have in common is they're looking to get that claim taken care of as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Everybody has an interest in that happening. So if AI can help drive efficiency into that claims adjustment and claims adjudication and claims settlement process, that's a win for the entire industry. It's a win for customer service. And this comes down to, it's something as simple as AI analyzing video footage or photo footage to be able to come up with a quick determination of the value of a physical damage claim on a truck, for example, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then how can that from there very quickly be forwarded to the proper parts and services facility that's closest with the right part and the right service, so that we can increase safety and maximize uptime. So I think that the applications are massive and tremendously helpful already.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, AI and connected devices, data, these are the three important things that we have discussed. So, with the increasing use of connected devices and the growth of technologies like the Internet of Things, or shortly known as IoT, there is more data available than ever before, right? And so, how can AI be used to help insurers make sense of all this data? It's going to be an important question, right? So, what is your take on this, and what kind of insights can be collected from analyzing such huge volumes of data, which is actually beneficial for the insurers?
Sure, it's probably the most pressing data science question that we see day in and day out. It's this tremendous tidal wave of information, right? And how do we make sense of it? How do we organize it, and even begin to assign some semblance of value to all of it? I think that AI can be tremendously helpful, particularly when we talk about extremely large data sets. Okay, and again, back to the topic of claim. I'll just use that as an example, where we're seeing insurance companies and some specialty intermediaries and specialty technology providers use AI to make sense of claims information. So anybody who's been around the insurance industry for long enough knows that good claims information is always nice to have, but it's rare. So claims information needs to be complete, timely, legible, right?
Yeah.
Many other things, and for every high quality loss run or claims report, there's another one out there that's not so great. And so we can use natural language processing, for example, to be able to make sense of what's missing in these claims reports. But I think more importantly, from a macro perspective, we can see how insurance companies can use AI to analyze large historical claims data sets to recognize, not only to recognize trends and judge and grade historical performance, but the real key to winning from the insurance company side will be, how can we use that information predictively? Okay, because particularly today, and it doesn't really matter what field you're in, but there's so much innovation happening there's so much new technology that needs to be insured, and that risk needs to be analyzed and underwritten, and a policy needs to be provided for it, and a price needs to be assigned to it in order for a premium to be generated. So how do you do that on something that's brand new? Well, the only way to really have some sort of sensible pricing mechanism is to use a predictive approach, so that you have something that not only relies on historical data from a like kind peer or a close like kind peer, but that enables the customer to say, okay, we understand why this is underwritten in this way and why the pricing shows up this way. For anybody who's been in the industry for not even that long, we've all run into situations where you have customers or opportunities where the underwriters look at it and they just say, look, we can't do this. We don't understand it. We don't have the capacity for it. It's too new. It's too exotic. It doesn't fit our underwriting box, right? Well, and I think that's healthy, because what it drives is innovation on the underwriting side of the business. There's constantly new capacity to be able to accommodate new and sort of enterprising entrepreneurial risk, and that's great. That's what we need. But I think if you look, going back to the claims data set, that's the type of real concrete, real world example where insurance companies can get a better look at larger data sets that they never would have been able to do with human centered analysis in years past. We are now at a stage where the ability to underwrite in a predictive way and having the ability to price in a predictive way isn't a nice to have option anymore. If it's not already a necessity at every insurance company, it will be. So I think that it's an incredible time to be able to use these tools and to incorporate them into everything that the insurance community has to offer.
Yeah. Of course, I think, AI and of course clubbed with other technologies like IoT, blockchain, and, or even cloud, I think it's going to make insurance certainly exciting. However, it's my personal opinion, none of the technologies can do wonders when it's just left alone or in isolation. So it's going to be interesting, and especially to see how, you know, uh, this sort of connected devices, or how the future of connected devices and insurance works to make people's life better in the coming years. So thank you, Shanam. It was a fantastic discussion, and thank you for sharing your thoughts today. A true delight to have you as our guest.
Thank you, Suri. I really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to share.
My pleasure. And last, to wrap this up, thank you for listening, and see you at our next episode. Take care and stay safe. Goodbye for now.